Gentlemen, how are you?
Hey, Mike, the Twitch chat wants to know who's taller, you or me?
I've got you by at least 2 inches.
That's what she said.
Hey, how about that?
Wow.
Mike, good to have you on today. It's been an interesting week here for the Patriots. Let's go ahead and start with the whole Marcus Jones snafu that happened with Alex Van Pelt. I don't know if you're as prepared for this as Gerard Mayo was. He was like, oh, yeah, I knew you were going to ask about this. You'd probably imagine we're going to ask you about this as well. What does this say about the coaching staff in general, the communication going on in that building, and just the general awareness of their roster? Like, where does that sort of leave you after hearing all this?
Wasn't the whole idea, a part of the whole idea of the change in regime from Bill Belichick to Gerard Mayo, Elliott Wolf and company was collaboration? How many times have we heard that word over and over and over again to the point where I got numb hearing it? Like, okay, I get it. I get the point, right? Well, if you're going to collaborate, you need to communicate. I don't know how you don't communicate to an offensive coordinator whose offense struggled the first 5 weeks of the season and say, hey, by the way, I mean, it should have happened way before that, but hey, by the way, we're having a hard time scoring points. This guy, Marcus Jones, pretty explosive with the ball in his hands. You may have seen him on the punt returns, but like he did some stuff for us on offense in his rookie year. And so when Gerard comes out and says what he says today, like it was, I mean, obviously in the aftermath, it's a flimsy excuse, but if that hadn't come out that I didn't know and you wanted to say like, oh, look, we decided early on, like, hey, Alex, he can play offense, but we gotta see him on defense first. We got to see if he can be healthy. We need him out there, etc. Then I could live with it a little bit more than this explanation, that was given and sort of trying to cover their tracks. To me, it's just another example of them stepping in it. Small miscues, major miscues, stuff in between. It's been a lot of that this year in the first year of this coaching staff.
Yeah, attention to detail just sort of seems to be lacking at times with them. That's just the reality. One thing that jumped out to me, though, today was Scott Peters. I don't know if you were in on him, but I was listening to some of the audio from him, and he was asked a question about, or 7-step drops and quicker plays, and he basically said, I don't think that's really true. I think we're getting the ball out faster. And that led me, which I think was a moment of honesty from a coach, and it's obviously pointing towards a quarterback that's doing a pretty good job. Is Alex Van Pelt doing a better job? Is this offense better than it was a month and a half ago or 2 months ago? Or do they just have a better quarterback doing a better job leading the offense?
I think they have a better quarterback, but I think they're incorporating some of the things that, A, the quarterback does well, but B, what Alex wanted to do all along. And, I think the misconception, especially because for the most part, for 20-something years, you lived in the same sort of offense and the same family of offense. And so, and especially with Tom as quarterback, you always started out kind of on an advanced page with that this thing was coming in at the ground floor and new personnel, new coaches, new way of teaching things, new offense, like the whole part of it, and every once in a while you got, we ran some outside zone. No, you're trying to live off this. You're building your whole offense around it. So I think there was a lot of stuff held back early on. I've referenced a million times. I felt like Alex was having to coach with one hand tied behind his back early for a lot of reasons. The quarterback play, obviously the offensive line play, poor receiver. I mean, there's a million things, right? But now I feel like they're starting to understand exactly what Drake's capable of. And even last week, to me, for as great as Drake was, that was a really well-schemed game. They were like, we're afraid of their pass rush, but we can hit them quick, and you're smart enough to read it and get it out quick. I mean, I think I charted, it was 33 of 40 throws were either behind the line of scrimmage or between 0 and 9 yards.
Go ahead.
It's to me, it was like a very Josh McDaniels-esque type plan in the sense, there are times where they would go in with Brady and say, we can't protect. So we're just going to get it out quick. You're just going to find the guy, and, it's sort of an extension of the run game to a certain degree, and we'll just keep hitting you with those plays. And that's what they did for the better part of that game.
The Patriots have historically had a real tough time playing games in Miami, even in the Belichick-Brady days, against Jag quarterbacks like Ryan Tannehill and Ryan Fitzpatrick, all the Ryans. This is now a new day, a new era, obviously, for both of these teams. And Miami, with Tua back, just beat the Rams. Do you think that the Celtics, how about the Patriots, have a puncher's chance on Sunday?
Because I don't think Miami's awesome. And they're playing better, and they seem to have found a little bit of a formula here since Tua's come back. But like, I don't think I look at this team and say, oh, they're just like, this is a 10 or 11 or 12 win football team that's played below its level because of the injury to Tua. I think they've struggled in various facets this year. Their offensive line's not all that great. They sort of changed the way they're playing offense even more so since Tua's come back, because there's a real, if you watch it, guys, he's trying, like, they're basically saying, like, get rid of the ball. We don't want you to get hit.
Right.
Like, they're still living in that, which I understand, by the way. I'm not criticizing it, but they're still living in that fear. And I think that's why you've seen Mostert has 23 catches in the last 4 games. Jonnu has 16 or 18 in the last 4. Like, they're getting the ball out quicker, attacking the middle of the field quickly, check downs, little things like that, letting their speedy guys run with it after the catch. So, they're more talented than you are for sure, but I don't think it's I just don't think it's like a dominant difference in talent.
So you famously called the Patriots wide receivers stink, stank, and stunk last year. You were right, although did I see some audio from Gillette the other day you and Kendrick Bourne have made up?
Well, I'd like to thank Dan Roach, as usual. Roach, he was swearing at me, and then Kendrick walked in and he tried to shift it on me. And, he's like, how much do you hate Mike Giardi? He goes, no, we're good. We're good. Like, yeah, like Kendrick, even when last year happened, Kendrick handled it. He made a little crack at the press conference. Like, he wasn't one who was staring me down like, say, Devontae Parker. Devontae Parker doesn't play in the league anymore, for the record. Just,
brag.
So, yeah, no, I think we're in a good place. But I think your point was, Andy, is how much better is this room?
No, actually, my point was going to be, I think this room still kind of stinks. But do you have a new nickname?
And stunks.
And can I offer one up? What are Donald Duck's nephews' names?
Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Yeah. Would that work for this group? Because they're a bunch of sort of young, don't have any idea what the hell they're doing, chickens with their heads cut off kind of misfits.
Yeah, I mean, it just certainly, they obviously reworked the room quite a bit in the offseason, and none of that's really gone to plan. KJ Osborne's supposed to be like that solid veteran pro, and, he's out there on Instagram, like, basically saying, I want to be traded. And
I forgot he was still here.
To be traded.
Is he still on the team?
I know.
Does he exist?
He's still on the team.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know. He would have been gone that week, as far as I'm concerned. And then when you didn't trade him, I don't know. I don't know the logic behind that. I mean, Tyquan forced his way out. That situation, the way it devolved there at the end, that was his doing, and they relented, ascended, let him go. So yeah, they haven't gotten anything really. Polk has taken a step back. Baker, Andy, you and I were there. We sat on the hill. There was like 4 days of good Javon Baker, and then I really haven't seen it since.
Nope.
And there's a lot of people that are fascinated by him, and he certainly has talent, but the fact that we're already here in November and they haven't been able to get him on the field, or when they do, they have to take him off, like, it says a lot.
He got benched from kickoff return without fumbling. Usually kickoff return, the way you get benched
Not just that, he had a 40-yard return.
Right. And he somehow got benched from it. That's not easy to do, Michael.
No, it's not. I mean, I think that the attempt to hurdle, there was just a lot of stuff there that didn't make a lot of sense. You're making the cross there, the iron cross, the guy, we're not going to run it back, and then you start to run it back. There's a lot of confusion there, but that's been, from what I could tell, that's sort of what he's been like behind the scenes. It's sort of a nutshell of him and trying to understand the playbook. There's still talk about that, still like he's got to get a full grasp on it, and he doesn't have that yet.
So the guy who is supposed to be, and I think I may have stupidly said 100-catch receiver. I regret that a little bit now. Pop Douglas, supposed to be sort of the year 2 jumper, the go-to guy. At the end of the game last week, they tried to go to him, and he was trying to go to the locker room early or something. He didn't look back. He was running like Forrest Gump down the field. What did you make of that? Did you buy Alex Van Pelt that was on Pop? Was he defending his quarterback at the cost of his wide receiver? And is Demario Douglas, is he a foxhole guy?
That's a good question. I don't know that we know that yet, which maybe is your answer already to the latter question you just asked.
Yep.
I would say I don't think that Alex Van Pelt was covering for his quarterback. I thought in the moment, and I thought on the rewatch, that he was trying to throw him to a spot or wanted him to throttle down,
Right.
And he obviously, as you've seen the film over, he wasn't even looking.
Nope.
Now, the only problem with that is I don't think the throw, even had he throttled down, I think the throw was not at the right place. So it still may have ended up in a bad result. And Alex said, it would have been a completion. I don't know that it would have been a completion, but I think that they didn't see it. And I think that's part of what Drake was talking about when we heard him talk on Wednesday about, like, asking about, like, sort of spatial relationships. Are you throwing just to a route, you're throwing to a spot? And I think he wants more guys to sort of, okay, this is the play that was drawn, and you can be in the general area, but you didn't need to go that far. You needed to realize, hey, no, there's a little soft spot here. This is where I need to sink.
Right.
And he didn't. So I think that's sort of part of the conversation there about popping that play.
Mike, before we let you go, is Robert Kraft ever going to make it to the Hall of Fame?
I don't think so. No. Honestly, not honest. This is morbid, but it feels like this is something that might happen posthumously. Like, there's clearly politics at play here. I remember having this argument when he got to this point, like, that was one of the final guys, and Tom Kerr and I were on TV and we were talking about it, and I was talking about how, the ownership, there's like this clique of ownership group, and Robert's not at the popular kids table anymore, and it hasn't been for a while. And Kerr looked at me, he's like, well, they don't vote. And I'm like, yeah, but they influence the vote, and I think the vote is being influenced heavily. I think there are people that, for whatever reason, whether it's the past success, whether it's, some of the things that happened during the course of that success that they take issue with, and whether it's the latest stuff, sort of trying to prop yourself up. But, like, that's a little bit of a red herring. Like, you're not going to vote for a guy because Stacey James is cornering you in the lobby at an owners meeting. Like, you're not going to vote for him anyway. So you can use that as an excuse, but the reality is someone got to you, or you have this in your head that this guy doesn't belong. And I don't know how a team that can win 6 Super Bowls and go to 9 during his ownership, just the Belichick there, I'm not even talking about, like, how they're not in.
Mike Giardi, Boston Sports Journal. We appreciate it. Thanks for the time today.